Hello, everyone. Mr. Dennis here. I am putting this screencast together just to provide some information about remote learning at Doncaster Secondary College. As you know, for the remainder of this term, we are going to be working from home. That's going to pose a lot of challenges, and it's going to mean that we're going to do things very differently to the way that we normally do. So we've got lots of information that we're going to be sending out to you in news feeds and letters, but I thought it was useful to kind of put something together that was a bit more accessible and really is just sort of like a summary of everything that students need to be aware of in terms of remote learning. So when you see the other information come through in your news feeds, please make sure that you read it. But this is sort of like a good summary of everything that's super important in regards to remote learning. All right. So the first thing I want to talk to you about is the learning program. So you need to just make sure that you follow your timetable in exactly the same way at home as you would at school. So whatever you have period 2 on a Tuesday at school, that's what you will have period 2 on a Tuesday at home. Now, Compass is where you need to go to find all of your information about what you're doing for each period of the week. Compass is the place where everything is going to be placed. And if you need to go somewhere else, go to watch a video somewhere or go to a website, then the link will be in the lesson notes for that class. But the first place you need to begin every single lesson is Compass. It's important to know that any assessments that are set during this time of working remotely, you need to try your best to meet those due dates and communicate with your teacher if you have an issue with that. And for all VCE students, VCE assessment is going to continue. Lots of information is going to be sent out about that to give VCE students more details around SATs and SACs and that kind of stuff. But the big message is that assessment is going to continue. So please do your best with any assessment that you're given. In terms of communication, email is probably the most effective way to communicate with your teachers. You can go and look them up on Compass and send them an email. There are lots of other platforms that are going to be in operation as well. You can communicate through those platforms, but email is the best. Teachers will be doing their best to get back to you as soon as possible. But we're sort of saying that allow 48 hours for a reply, just with all the other things that teachers are sort of managing whilst working remotely. That doesn't include weekends. But in most cases, teachers should be able to get back to you before then. But 48 hours is the time that we're saying. Now, these are the online platforms that you're likely to be using, all right? So Compass is at the top of the list because, as I said, that is the main place that you need to go to get your information for your classes. From there, you'll probably be directed to other places, so Microsoft Teams, OneNote, Google Classroom, WebEx. Some teachers are even using Discord as a way to manage online chat. Now, it's going to be a bit of a test for you, I guess, in terms of organization and just finding ways to work that are going to ensure that you are staying on top of these things. And in an ideal world, everyone would be using the same thing, but they're not. And I think that's kind of good practice for you, because when you get to university or to TAFE or to the workplace, you will be expected to manage working across multiple platforms. So if I just exit this screen, I'll show you. I use Chrome as my web browser. I've got a little folder up here called Cloud, and in here you'll see a whole range of different cloud platforms. I've got OneNote, I've got Classroom, I've got OneDrive, I've got Google Drive, and I just go to those bookmarked spots when I need to. Okay, so it's going to be a bit of a challenge maintaining your awareness of what's going on where, but you know, a good tip is to create a folder in your browser and create some bookmarks that take you straight to those places. Technical support. I know that there was a news feed sent out by Miss McMaster not long ago, just explaining that there will be an opportunity for students to access laptops through the school if they don't have a device. Because we are a BYOD school, I know that the majority of students do have their own device. If you have any issues from an IT point of view, whether it's with your device or with a device that you have borrowed from the school, you can access technical support through the IT staff during school hours. We have a team of 5 people that you can contact, and their email addresses are there. Any of these guys are always happy and welcome you to come and talk to them if you have any issues, but probably drop them an email beforehand if you think it's sort of an issue that you might need to resolve by coming into school, just so they're prepared for you and can tell you the process for accessing them. All right, so you know that when working from home, you're going to be participating in some interactive sessions. Some teachers may run sessions where you're going to be in a WebEx call and you're going to be watching them via a video link and potentially participating in the video link yourself. Some of them, in my classes, for instance, will involve students just watching a video and then talking to me through a text app like Discord. But if you're participating in an interactive session, particularly when there's video, then there are some things that you need to be aware of. So wearing appropriate clothing is something that sounds quite obvious, but it's important to make sure that you present yourself in a way that is, I guess, in line with what you would wear if we had a free dress day at school. Okay, so come prepared, ready to work. Make sure that you're not wearing anything that's too revealing. Make sure that you're not sat there in your PJs, just kind of dressed in a sensible way as you would if you were coming in for casual clothes day. Make sure that the background that you have, if you are using your video, is plain and appropriate. It's important not to provide information about your home or your location when you're operating in these online video sort of exchanges. Make sure that you've got all other apps and emails closed while online. So if you notice, I don't have any browsers open up here. Just before I started making this, I had about 15, and I just closed them all because I don't really want everybody knowing what my other apps were that were open. That's sort of private information. So make sure that you do that. And in terms of the way that you communicate in these spaces, it has to be in line with our college values. So make sure that you're being professional and respectful in the way that you communicate, okay? It is tempting to get carried away with posting memes and whatever else, but ultimately it's a distraction from what you're supposed to be doing, which is engaging with the learning that your teacher is asking you to do. Okay, so we've got some information around privacy and appropriate use of the internet and devices. So a reminder about passwords. It's important to keep them private. Make sure that you protect your online image. So really that's about making sure that you don't do anything online in these spaces that you wouldn't do face to face with other people. Make sure that you represent yourself in the way that you would if you were dealing with people face to face. Maintain an appropriate learning environment for all. So that relates to the idea of operating with our college values: responsibility, respect, resilience, teamwork, making sure that you're behaving in a way that is professional and respectful at all times. Do not download, display, save, or transmit any material that others may find offensive. Okay, so we are still in a work environment. When you come to school and you're in your uniform and you're being taught in a classroom, that's a work environment. Please make sure that you remember that when you're interacting with your classmates and your teachers in a virtual classroom, it's a professional environment and you need to behave as such. Okay, so this is a screen that I'm going to have pinned to the top of every single chat that I run with my students. So they are completely clear about what the expectations are around online learning protocols. Okay, so it talks about some things, if I bring my clicker up here, being prepared, issues around being respectful. This is for students and for teachers, what teachers will do to moderate the online learning environment. Now, I would recommend that you pause this, that you have a read through it, take responsibility for understanding what is contained in here. Okay, I'm not going to read every single one for you. All right, it's important you familiarize yourself with it all. What I will point out is things like completing the do now, making sure that you do that, because the do now and the review and reflect are actually how we're going to monitor attendance. Yeah, we're going to be checking that you're there at the start and you completing the do now through whatever online platform is being used, whether it's Teams or WebEx or Discord or whatever. When you complete that do now and we see you post it, then we mark you as present. When we ask you to do the review and reflect and you post it, we mark you as still present at the end of the session. If we have students present at the beginning but not present at the end, or we don't know if they're present because they haven't posted their review and reflect task, then that will come up as a flag for us and we'll follow that up as potentially not having completed the whole lesson. Okay. In terms of behaving respectfully, I'll point this one out to you. Inform the teacher if you're planning to leave the online learning space or go offline for some reason. Okay. So when we come in, we all check in for the do now. You need to say something. Say, just going to use the bathroom, I'll be back in a sec. So the teacher knows that you're no longer there and then can check if you come back online. All right. It might just be a wave emoji or whatever it happens to be. All right. But make sure that you do that. In terms of what the teachers will do, I guess one thing that I will point out is challenging inappropriate chat, contribution, lack of resources with a warning that will then be followed up with parent contact if a student is removed from an online learning space. So my sons during the Easter break participated in, it was kind of like this science online thing, and it was this guy and he was doing these cool science experiments. My son is 7 and 9, and they had a chat thing going on and they were typing things, and there was one young man who just kept posting rude memes, and the guy said to him, look, I'm going to ask you to stop, please don't. If you do it again, I'm going to ask you to I'm going to bounce you out, because I can bounce you out, and teachers know how to do that. He gave him a second warning, and then he said to him, I'm going to bounce you out, and by the way, because your parents had to set up this account, I've got their email and I'm going to follow up with an email to them. Now, we have your parent contact and we will be following up very quickly with students who behave inappropriately in an online space, because ultimately you're all old enough and mature enough to know how to behave in these spaces, and we don't have time for us to constantly be bringing people back on task and asking them not to post memes that are either inappropriate or not related to what we're doing, because that time that we spend doing that was actually time that we had put aside to teach. Okay, so just make sure that you're really making a conscious effort to stay focused, not drifting off, looking at other tabs, whatever it is you might be doing. Put your phone to one side, really engage and do the right thing. Okay, that said, it's really important to take care of yourself. Okay, guys, this, as you will now be very aware, is quite a challenging time. So being isolated from your friends and family in a physical sense is actually quite a challenge. Now, hopefully you've had enough time over the holidays to build a bit of a routine. You're now going to have to build a new routine around how you manage learning remotely. Okay, so getting to bed at a decent time, getting up at a reasonable time to allow yourself enough time to prepare yourself, have some breakfast, get yourself changed into something that's, comfortable but appropriate. Making sure you're making time during the day for things like exercise, okay? And this is a really tricky one because we're basically teaching you through screens, but at the same time, it's important to limit your screen time. Now, in a practical sense, something I can suggest I'm doing right now, I have a dining room chair on top of the desk in my study. So I'm standing whilst I'm recording this screencast. And next to it, I have the chair that I sit in. And it's just nice to be able to switch between standing and sitting. That in itself is a really powerful thing to do, all right? But have a look at this list, pause this video, have a think about some things that you can do, because taking care of yourself during this time is going to be really important. you're going to develop a huge amount of self-discipline and organization skills and perseverance skills during this time. Getting some of these happening on a regular basis is really going to help with that. Okay. Now, in terms of well-being, your discovery teacher is your first point of contact. If you've got anything going on that you just feel like a chat or some kind of conversation with someone would be good, your discovery teacher is the person you need to email. You can email them and it can simply be, I really need to chat, can you give me a call? Or you can explain what the issue is. All right. If you feel like you need more targeted support, or for whatever reason your discovery teacher isn't contactable, then you can actually contact the wellbeing team directly at this email address, or you can text your name to this phone number and someone will give you a call. All right. So taking care of yourself and being honest about where you're at and reaching out for help if you need it are going to be really important during this time. Attendance and absence. So as I mentioned before, the do now, where you post your do now, and your review and reflect are going to be how we check that you've attended and remained engaged for the entire lesson. And we just mark the roll as we normally would on campus. Students, if you're not able to attend, to be present, to complete the do now and to submit it, and to do the review and reflect and to submit it, then you need to get your parents to put that as an approved absence on campus. Okay, make sure that that happens, and then your attendance won't be affected. Now, if a teacher is away, you'll be informed, and it will probably say so in your lesson plan. But your lesson plan will be there and all resources will be there for you to complete the learning independently. Okay, so because we're working remotely from home, it's not possible for us to organize a CRT to take that lesson. But all lessons are designed in such a way that they are basically meant to be done independently, and the teacher is available to answer questions during the time that the lesson runs. If the teacher isn't there, then you just do the stuff independently and make a note of any questions you've got and send them through or ask them when you next have your teacher available. All right, so that's it. This was meant to be just a short, sharp kind of summary of everything. Our message to you guys is good luck. This is something that is completely uncharted territory for everybody, but we've got absolute faith that you guys will be able to manage it. You will come up against situations that are challenging and are difficult, and that's when we want you to reach out for us, because we're here for you, and there's lots of things that we can do to help. Just make sure that you ask. If you have any questions about this slideshow that you're not clear about, then like I said, talk to your discovery teacher. They're the first port of call for any issues that you've got. All right, guys. Looking forward to seeing you all in person soon, and enjoy the fact that you don't have to wear school uniform. Just think about that as the one good thing in this situation. You can rock your hoodie and you can wear your Nike socks as much as you like. Awesome. All right, guys, take care.